one of the critical feature, which is very important for our customer base when it comes to the reporting section with respect to the cost data is the PRD. I don't think there is any introduction that is required for the performance reports designer. Um with the operator console 20.4 release, what we are trying to do is we are trying to simulate the same ease what we had with UMP, but with a better user interface with HTML and React, right? So that's the a high level roadmap on how we are working towards this performance report designer. So most of the features that were there with UMP, so those will be supported with operator console. So let me start with how the user interface is going to be aligned to create the reports. So on the left panel, so there will be an option for the users to start with the cost selection, which can be driven by the host as a starting point or through a target. I'll come to the saved filter a bit later. So when it comes to the host, the expectation is uh, user has to select a particular host name. Say for suppose, again, this will be driven through a proper search criteria, right? So where we can select the host and then select the list of quas that are being enabled on that particular host, right? So in this case, let me quickly take some GCP metrics with respect to virtual machine. Let's say for suppose it is memory used. So then it will list down all the targets which are available for the combination of the selected host and cause, and all that is expected is simply drag and drop onto this chart, right? So, and the advantage of the performance report designer is we can have multiple cause on a single cause chart, right? So that's one of the advantage. And the way it was with UMP, where we used to have double y-axis with a different metric, even the same thing that will be supported with operator console as well, right? So this is something that will be driven from the host. Let me quickly do it through the target as well as an example. Let me select a CPU metric, right? And here I can select a target and then I can select the host. It's the same thing what I have done in the first section, but there the starting point is the host and here the starting point is the cause and target, right? And now if I drag and drop onto this, right? So this is how a quas chart can quickly be created with the performance report designer, right? And we can have as many quas as we need, as long as the units of the quas measurement is lying within these two units. But if we want to select another quas which doesn't come under these two units, then the recommendation is go and create an additional chart over here. And we can create as many charts as we would like to within a single report, right? Uh, all right. And then once the chart has been created, we can give the title specifically for the chart because this is Google Compute Engine and then it's related to system related metrics, right? So I can give the name accordingly. And then because this chart is part of an overall report, I can give a customized name for the report as well, right? So this will be the report name and this will be the chart name. Okay, so on the left panel, it was mainly about the quas, host, and target combination, right? So how does the time frame varies within the chart? So that will be driven from the time frame section at the top right. So at the middle. So the important aspect over here is the time frame is something that will be at a report level. So meaning if I add multiple charts over here, so the time frame that I'm going to add will be impacting all the charts within this report, right? And we'll be supporting the standard time frames and also the custom. Custom is work in progress currently, but custom will let the users to select the start date and end date so that the time frame can be customized uh, based on from a specific dates instead of talking about a last day or last 1 week, right? So that's the advantage that we get with the time frame custom attribute. And now coming to the aggregation level, right? So the minimum aggregation level that we support will be 1 minute, and by default it will be automatic. So automatic tells that at least if at all, say for suppose if we select the time frame as 1 month, and if there are multiple data points, we will ensure that each pixel in the visualization will have at least one data point. So that's what automatic will does, right? But in general, if the time frame is say 1 day, and if the polling period is 15 minutes, the aggregation level will be 15 minutes automatically when automatic is selected. But it can be customized based on the user needs, right? And along with that, you'll also find an option for none. Basically, none let the users to see the raw data instead of the aggregated data. So what it means is when we select the data for 5 minutes, right? So this is an aggregated interval, or for 15 minutes, this is an aggregated interval, right? So if there are multiple samples that are collected within this 15 minutes, what will happen is behind the scenes there will be an average function that will be rolled out on the samples that are collected. Say for suppose for the aggregation interval 15 minutes, there are 3 samples that are collected. By default, the line chart will display the average of the 3 samples. And we are also working towards plotting an area chart over here to depict the max and the min within that aggregation interval as well, so that the line chart talks about the average, and the area surrounding this line chart will talk about the min and maximum value within that aggregation interval. And the table, but when we select none, it's not aggregate, it's the complete raw data based on the probe configurations, based on the polling cycles, the raw data will directly be displayed. So that's the uh, option when we have to use none over there. And then the table below, again, this is going to give more information about what is the snapshot at this point of time. So for the VM memory, okay, so this is a maximum value, this is the average value, and this is a minimum value, right? And similarly for the other. So this table, will be added at the bottom to show the snapshot within the latest aggregation interval. So that's where this table helps, right? Along with, so once the charts have been created within a particular report, the report can be saved, and then it can be retrieved at a later point of time. Once the report is saved, right, so there are few features which are work in progress, which I cannot demo it now, but I just want to quickly cover those as well. So once the chart has been saved, when it comes to the export options, there will be 3 export options that will be provided in the performance report designer. One at a report level, where you can export the complete all the list of charts in a single report as a PDF file. So that will be available in the 3 dot menu over here. And the second one is export to XML, right? So this is something that was there with AMP as well, where you can export the complete report in an XML file, and then you can import it again. Instead of saving it, you just want to quickly export it and then import it. So that will not be persisted in the database, right? Or say for suppose we have created some reports in our test environment, and then we have exported it over there. Then you can import it in the production environment, right? So that's where the export to XML option will be helpful. So those options will be available in the 3 dot menu. And the third option which I'm talking about with respect to export is export to CSV. Export to CSV is something that will be available at the chart level, but not at the report level. So within the chart, with whatever the data that's being displayed over here, if at all we want to see this data in an Excel file, in a CSV file, both from an aggregation perspective and from a raw data perspective, export to CSV within the report section will be helpful over there. So these are the options that will be available with respect to the export, right? And then, another option will be, sharing this report. Again, what are the options that we have with uh, you know the account level sharing, or the public level sharing. So the same options will also be available uh, with the operator console as well. So we can share a particular report to specific set of accounts, or we can keep it private so that only the user who has created it can see it, or these charts can also be shared to the public, meaning all the accounts, all the users within the UIM domain can see it, right? So these are the high-level features of PRD, very easy to use when it comes to report generation. There are few other aspects that I would like to touch upon. The first one is around the report scheduler. So basically, whatever the charts that we are saving, those charts will be appeared in the report scheduler section. So currently in the under the report scheduler section, today we are providing scheduling the reports for uh, two types of reports. One is for the metric viewer, and second one is for the SLA reports. So here we'll also be finding an option for the PRD along with metric views and SLA. So where we can actually schedule the PRD reports, right? And the aggregation interval need not be the same as what we have defined in the PRD, but that will be derived based on what we have configured in the report scheduler, right? So yeah. So that's one feature that we are going to bring it up. Uh, yeah, so the access part with respect to the performance report designer, uh, it will be driven through the ACL permissions. And if at all we want to restrict publishing the reports to the public level, meaning for all the accounts, so that will be driven through the same parameter what we used to have it in the the parameter driven through the configuration. So that will still be supported to restrict publishing the reports to the public level.